Hey, Moose Country! Welcome to another episode of Let Us Be Heard.
What's up, Moose fam? Calling back here for another episode of Let Us Be Heard. Today's a special day. First of all, we had a long break from interviews, and we finally have some guests lined up so we can bring you, the Moose fans, some more great content. But other than that, as you all know, Dylan has left the channel for personal reasons. Good luck, Dylan. We love you, buddy. But I am bringing on my new co-host. He's somebody who's been going to the game since 1994. He's a huge fan of junior hockey in general. A fan of hockey in general, actually. The guy's got the biggest collection of Nova Scotia hockey memorabilia I've ever seen. And again, just a knowledgeable guy on the sport. And he's always been a huge supporter of the channel. So when he reached out and said, listen, Colin, what about me being a part of the channel? I jumped at the opportunity. So let me welcome to you our new co-host, Dale Hubley. Dale, how you doing, bud?
Good, Colin. How you doing, my friend?
Not too bad. Welcome back to the channel.
Awesome. Glad to be back.
I'm glad to have you as part of the channel. Like I said in the intro, you've been a huge supporter of me and the channel from its conception, and I want to say thank you. When you came to me and said, hey, what about me? As I said, I jumped at the opportunity. I'm happy to have you on board, man. Now, you're in your hall, correct?
I am in the hall here right now, buddy.
How's that going, bud? I heard you got some... actually, I was there. I seen that you had some new acquisitions.
There's always new stuff just about every week, so always looking to add things and build on what's already here. But I'm really happy to be joining you on Let Us Be Heard. Very excited, my friend.
I love the wall behind you too, man.
Well, he's our current MVP for the NHL, buddy.
Yeah, that's right. All right, so we have a guest. That's why we're here, right?
Yes, sir. Let's get her going.
I'm really excited for this. It's not every day you get a chance to have a guest on the show who both played for the organization and works for the organization. I think it's going to be an interesting take on...
Very rare commodity.
Exactly, all right? All right, so without further ado, let's get to Brad Cuzner. All right, Brad Cuzner, how you doing, sir?
Hey, good to see you guys. Happy to be here.
Yes, sir. Just want to first off start off by saying thank you so much for dedicating a portion of your time today to come on the show. It means more than you know. Dale has something he wants to say to you.
Awesome.
Brad, I got a shout out from one of your buddies. I found out that I was going to be co-hosting on the show tonight with Colin. Ryan Hilsey says hi.
Oh, Hilsey.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Great guy.
Yeah, good buddy of mine. He said, be sure to say hi to Brad for me. So there it is.
Yeah, he was, listen, he was an awesome guy and a much better player than I was. So we played against each other. He was in St. Mary's and we played against each other, and I chased him around and hacked him down a couple times, but he was a really good player and a
he's still
guy.
On the ice every morning at 6 o'clock, that guy.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. And you know what? His wife is much better than him on the ice too. So
I'll be sure to tell him that tomorrow.
Yeah. He knows that already. He's smart enough. He knows.
So with that being said, he's committed to coming on the show to Dale. So do you have a question or a story regarding him?
I don't know. No, Jesus, Hilsey. No, he's such an easy guy he'll be a lot of fun on the podcast to hang out with and shoot the shit with. But no stories that come to mind. I'll send you a couple notes after if I can think of anything. But he's awesome.
We'll have to ask him if he can confirm that his wife is a better hockey player than him.
No. You don't even have to ask. He's smart enough to know. She was listen. She was in the AUS. She played for St. Mary's when he was there, and she tore up the league. She was awesome. So. Much more fun to watch than him, and she was a good player.
Right on, buddy. Right on.
So
yeah, that puts me third on the list. So she's up top. She's 1, he's 2, and I'm 3.
So those are the people who are watching that don't know exactly who you are. Do you want to let us know what your history is with the Moose, what your duties are now, and what your position is?
Yeah, for sure. So history with the Moose is I was with Cape Breton with the Screaming Eagles for 2 seasons. Yeah, back in 2010, 11, I believe, and then came to Halifax for a season, 11-12, just before the Mem Cup year. Played a couple games in the Mem Cup season. So I had a full season with Halifax, and then I actually just got a position back. So I'm the business development manager here. So we get a great team. We have kind of three different segments, groups, season tickets and partnerships, and we have Christina, who's on our groups, who does a great job, and Glenn Robinson, who's our season ticket manager, and he's incredible. And then Travis Kennedy, who's a staple to the organization. He's been here for 20 years and one of the best on the sponsorship side. And my role is kind of just to support all three of them, help them out, as well as kind of engage with the community and kind of get our name out there a little bit more and work with different partners and things like that. So it's a good gig. It's a great team to work with, and I'm pretty lucky to be here.
So did they create that role for you?
This is a new role. Yeah.
Nice.
So I don't know if it was specifically for me, but I got the role.
So you would then work closely with Glenn, as you said, but then you would also have to work closely with Ryan.
Yeah.
As well, the community side. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's one thing we're lucky with here is our team is so close. We have 11 employees on the business side, and everyone kind of works with everybody. So it's great. Ryan's awesome. He's great at what he does, and the game presentation stuff is, you've seen it for years that Halifax is far and above many NHL teams, right?
Yeah.
And he's part of that. So
he's incredible.
We're pretty lucky here.
He's incredible.
Yeah.
You're fortunate in the way that, like, as far as QMJHL teams go, we have a bigger background office than many.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure. It's such an interesting league where we have 11, which would be considered a lot. There'd be some teams that would have one, maybe two.
Yeah.
Kind of doing everything that we do, and some it's just depends on where you are. Depends on what how many seats you have in the building to fill and revenue and things like that. So we're extremely fortunate. I mean, we're lucky in the sense being in Halifax is such a great market, such a great hockey community. So it's we benefit because of things like that.
Yeah.
I've always felt that the Mooseheads have run the organization like it's an NHL club.
Yeah. It's funny, when I first got here, Brian Urquhart, who's our president, he said, he's like, we obviously, we take into account what other teams are doing in the league, but we look at the NHL and try to strive to be in that category and try to, push ourselves with those teams in terms of, really every aspect of what we're doing. So it's great to be a part of an organization that thinks that way.
Agreed. You got the next one there, hey, Dale?
Yeah, I do. Being from Glace Bay, did you ever think or dream of being an Eagle right there? Just basically just hometown almost.
I sure did. I hate to tell Moose fans that, but no, I grew up as an Eagles fan, and remember the days of Stewie McRae, who ended up playing. He was a Moosehead, so that kind of helps a little bit. But remember watching Stewie and George Davis and Chris Culligan, Rob Slaney, and all these guys growing up. It was Cape Breton's a very small spot, and the hockey world's they surround themselves with the Eagles as well as Halifax does with the Mooseheads. And I remember when I first got drafted, I was out west, and I had my best friend who was playing on the team at the time, and I wasn't sure if I was going to go. I ended up getting a call. My internet shut down, so we're watching the draft live. There's about 4 or 5 of us. We were living out in Saskatchewan, and our internet went down, and Logan actually called me on the phone. He was playing there at the time. He was the one who told me that I got drafted to the team. So yeah, we were best friends growing up, and he was the one who let me know that I was drafted there. So I was fortunate. As much as I love my days in Halifax, I also love the time in Cape Breton as much as people don't want to hear.
I bet. Yeah, a lot of guys speak highly of Cape Breton too. So
Yeah, it's a great
And
spot.
you couldn't be from a more beautiful town, though. I've been to Glace Bay. Been to.
Yeah.
I sold a bunch of stuff out of a box at the fish plant, and
Oh yeah,
it,
yeah,
it couldn't be a beautiful town, more beautiful town, man.
yeah,
Like the town square there, where you have the government building, and
yeah,
I think there's a clock right on the grassy part there,
yeah,
right up
yeah,
the
yeah.
street. I absolutely love that area, man. Love
Yeah,
it.
this is a little nugget that'll nobody will care about, but I think is very cool. But that fish plant that you went down to is Hopkins Limited.
The red one.
Um, yeah,
Yep.
and so my mother, her maiden name was Hopkins, so that's Cliff Hopkins was my grandfather who owned
No
the fish
way.
plants. Yeah, yeah. So they're all part of the family. So my mother grew up working there, and my aunt runs the place now, and things like that. So it's pretty
Well,
cool.
do me a favor and thank your family for allowing a gypsy sailman into the lunchroom.
And, we'll let you in. Yeah. Yeah, I will. I'll let them know. I'm sure they'll remember you.
Yeah. So does the office have the same team culture as you found on the ice for the herd?
Yeah, good question. We're lucky here. Like I mentioned, Brian and Travis are kind of our leadership core here on our side, and they've been with the Mooseheads for 20 years now, and um, a good team starts with good leadership. You see it on the ice all the time, and we're lucky to have those guys that kind of, run the ship for us, and it's a beautiful spot in that they trust what you do. They hire you for a reason and trust what you do. But we work collaboratively. There's 11 of us who all kind of work together, and it's like a hockey team. I always say we have a marketing manager here, Alex, and her and I getting some dust ups every now and then, just on different things. But it's all out of respect and just trying to push the needle forward and make the best of what we do here. But it is like a team, and we're lucky to have a couple great captains who are leading the ship.
Everybody has that one coworker that you just.
You know what? No, listen, she's awesome. She's a great person, and she's awesome at what she does, and we get along really well. It's just, there's times when we from the marketing to the sales side can sometimes not always see eye to eye. So but it's all out of respect, and I got nothing but love for her. She's awesome.
Right on, man.
Nice. So I guess my next question kind of leads right into that is, what were the emotions like for you, Brad, coming back to the Mooseheads organization, after all these years going from player to in the office? Like, did you reach out for the position that you're currently in?
Yeah, so I didn't I went through the regular chain. Brian and I have been in contact. I reached out to Brian about 2 years ago about a different job, just to pick his brain on things. We've always had a good connection and a good friendship, and but I didn't want to go to him directly. I didn't think that was kind of fair of the process. So went through the regular chains, and luckily got to the end and got to meet with Sam and Peter, and went through the whole process. But no, it's great to be back. I mean, I was a 19-year-old off waivers, just picked up to fill a void, and I'm still connected with so many players and so many, even the coaching staff that I have. When I was out in Vancouver, I got to meet up with Dom Ducharme, and the past coach, Jim Midgley, and I are good friends, and Brian and Travis and all these guys have stayed connected. So, the Cam and Allie, Jesus, they brought me in. They've always been awesome to me, but you get these things, do I deserve to have these connections, as a fourth liner who went on waivers? Maybe not, but the
Why not?
pride of being back with Halifax is pretty high when you come back to a position like this and you have so many connections.
Awesome.
Listen,
Awesome, buddy. Awesome.
If you made a connection, you deserve it. You obviously made some sort
Yeah.
of lasting connection for them to think of you and give you this role, and they obviously trust you enough to give you the role.
They laughed at me for a full season on the ice, so I think that was our connection. Yeah.
That's awesome, buddy. You talked about Ducharme. So he was actually on the channel. I had him on.
Awesome.
He was gracious enough. I think he gave us about an hour or so, and we had a
Yeah.
good talk. And then he had my former co-host, who was going to Vegas anyway, so gave him ice passes to come down. And
Yeah. You're saying,
Yeah.
yeah, that was awesome.
It was
Listen,
good, man.
Dom is one of the best. He's one of the best coaches and one of the best people, and he's intimidating. You don't want to, if you're not working, then he'll let you know, and he's scary when he lets you know. But he's an awesome guy, great person.
So I think I know the answer to this question. I mean, I'd like to think I know the team pretty well, but if you could compare yourself, your play style, to somebody who's on the team presently, who would it be?
First and foremost, I will say that the players nowadays are 300 times more skilled than I ever was. And it's funny watching practice and watching the games. I'm like, I would never be able to play in the game today because it's so fast and so skilled. But probably Braden McPhee would be the one.
That was my guess.
Yeah, he's pretty hard nosed, pretty simple. Plays the game the right way, and they talk about him here in the dressing room. I don't know him personally, but say just an absolute leader.
Yeah.
He's a great kid and great in the community and things like that. But on the ice, I would say that just simple chip pucks out, chip pucks in, and get in on the forecheck, and ideally one goes off your butt every now and then to score a goal. But that's about it.
I'll tell you can't replace a player like McPhee. You can't.
Yeah, he's great for the team, and with our young core too this year,
Yeah.
he'll be massive in like shaping our culture for the next 5 years.
He also gets us penalties when we need them, like power plays when we need
Yeah.
them. He's incredible
Yeah.
for that, man. Love him. Love
No,
him.
he doesn't stop. He's got a motor on him.
Yeah.
He comes out probably black and blue every other game from blocking shots and hitting, but
Yep.
that's a part of it.
He's a good kid,
Yeah.
man.
To be a leader, you don't always have to put up 100 points.
That's
I mean, everybody has their role, and he goes out and does his agitating, and creates the spark that
Yeah.
other guys can't. So I look forward to his leadership this year with the team.
Yeah, it's funny, and just quickly on that is like you look at I always go back to the Mem Cup team because that's the team that I was part of with with a lot of those guys, and their captain, they had Fournier, but they had Trey, and Trey was the leader in the room. And I mean, Trey can't stick handle, and he's not a great skater, and not a good hockey player at all, really, but he was the leader. Just did everything right and played the right way and played hard. And he was their leader, right? So, and McPhee has a lot of those qualities as well.
100%.
Absolutely. So actually then, again, leads into the next question again was, so you played a few games on that 2012, 2013 Mooseheads team. I mean, I know it was only a handful, but did they give you a ring for that?
Yeah, that's I don't want to say a touchy subject, but something I don't know if it's Cam's fault or UPS's fault, but I think it's still stuck in the mail somewhere after 11 years or whatever it is. But I've been asking Cam, and I don't think it's coming. But no, listen, they had a great team. I was the odd man out as a 20, and they had 3 great 20s. They let go of Steven Gillard, who was another great 20. So I was bottom of the barrel with those guys, but I have Saint of X ring on this one, but I'd love to have a Mem Cup ring. So whenever it comes, that'd be awesome.
So you heard it,
We'll
fans.
have to harass him, Colin. We'll have to harass him.
Yeah.
You heard it here, fans. We're gonna have to make some signs for the arena that says "Give Cuzner a ring."
There you go.
We'll get a few out there, see if we can't get that ring for you.
Yeah, we'll go after UPS. I think it's their fault.
So has hockey prepared you for the career that you have now, the path that you're on?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. No, I think, and not just with the Mooseheads, but really in every aspect. I think, the team camaraderie, working together, kind of having a common purpose and common goal with teammates, I think is massive. And, like I said, I didn't have much skill. I don't want to put McPhee in that same category because he's a lot better than I was, but I didn't have a lot of skill, but you learn how to, solve problems, and, you learn kind of what it takes to get you on the ice and get you in situations that give you minutes to kind of help the team win. So, it's same thing in the business world, whether it's with the Mooseheads or things I've done in the past. It's, problem solving and work ethic and team camaraderie and things like that. So without the game of hockey, I mean, I wouldn't be where I am today. That's for sure.
I love that. I love that sentiment.
Yeah, I love hearing that.
Yeah.
You know,
No, it's a beautiful game. We're lucky.
absolutely. I mean, it's changed a lot of young players' lives.
Yeah, it has.
And especially the team coming to Halifax. I mean, junior hockey coming to Halifax in the mid '90s was huge for not just Halifax, but for all of the Maritimes because of all the expansions that happened after that.
Yeah.
Opened up so many doors for so many young players down here that never probably would have had the opportunity, to get as far as, Quebec itself or the Ontario Hockey League. So the organization started that. I mean, great organization. So I guess in your role now, what's your plan to make the team even better now? Like what are you moving forward?
Yeah, like it's
You mentioned the
tough
community.
thing.
You mentioned the community involvement. Like that's
Yeah.
that community for the Mooseheads a huge thing, right?
Yeah, I mean it's not, and Brian would say this too. It's not our team, right? It's the community's team, and we just have to kind of tailor to what the community is looking for at that time, and what makes the most sense at that time. Um, in terms of my role in growing it, is we have such a great foundation here already with what they've done in the past with Travis and Brian, and even before them, past presidents before them and past teams before them. So really it's kind of connecting and understanding what's going on in Halifax and how we can help and how we can, our team can continue to grow, but kind of continue to help Halifax grow. There's so many different aspects, and kind of we want to, put our staple on it and be part of the minor hockey world and the tourism and community and things like that. So there's lots of different avenues that you're going to try to grow, but it's not just me, it's kind of our whole team here. So
Yeah, it's a team. You said it right there. It's a team effort, right?
Yeah, exactly. I would love to say that I'm going to do this, that, and the other thing, but without their support, I can't really do much.
It's a cohesive unit in the end.
Yeah, we're lucky. We got a great team here.
Very lucky here.
Yeah.
So going back to your days as a player, can you tell me the difference in atmosphere between the two barns?
Between here in Cape Breton, yeah, it's definitely a different world. In Cape Breton, it's a smaller rink, but still a great atmosphere. We had a really good team, and then we had a really a team that struggled, but a very hardworking team. And I think you'll notice in Cape Breton, that's what they're looking for.
Yeah.
They're looking for a hardworking team. They're, obviously they like the wins, but less inclined on the wins and losses as long as the team's kind of working. But for me, I mean, I got to go play in front of friends and family, and having mom and dad and my grandmother, who was a season ticket member for a million years, and then she ended up I think she got to watch me play one season and ended up passing, but she was a massive Eagles fan. So getting to play in front of her and the boys you grew up with, and mom and dad and things like that, special to me. So I always enjoyed it, whether there's 1,000 fans or 5,000 fans. It was always very special. And then turning the page, coming into Halifax, I mean, it's a different world, right? I like to say that there was a couple dark days before I got there, and then I turned the organization around with a little help from guys like McKinnon and Drouin. But I mean, having guys like that is a different level. Watching Nate every day, watching Joe every day, like these guys they're different beasts, and I knew that 10,000 people were there to watch them, not me. So the atmosphere was incredible here.
Speaking of Nate, do you see the wall behind him?
the wall behind. Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
see a couple. Yeah, you got a couple Avalanche jerseys, and I'm guessing a couple Nate jerseys.
Those are all game
Yeah.
worn.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. He's got a
jersey off the back.
He's got a
Yeah.
museum in his house of Nova Scotia hockey.
Very cool.
It's crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably should have taken one. I'll tell you a quick Nate story. We had so I was put on waivers and I got picked up by Cam and Alley here in Halifax in our first preseason game. I remember a kid coming up and he took a picture of Nate, and he wasn't even in it. The kid wasn't even in it. It was just a picture of Nate. And so I became buddies with Nate, and I said, from now on, I'm going to go out after you every single time you go on the ice so that every picture you're in, I'm going to be in right behind you. So it became our tradition that he wouldn't go on without me and I wouldn't go on without him. And anyways, it got me in a bunch of pictures. I don't know if it gave any clout to him, but it was good.
I love that. That's an amazing story.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought he'd do it in Colorado and get me a call up, but still waiting on that call too.
He got Durant's.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe you're next.
Yeah, listen, Durant was the other 27, so he was probably the better number 27. So that's all good.
Yeah. What was it? What was it like watching the work ethic of players like Nate and Joe? Just I know you only got to play a handful of games, with the Moose, but you went through the practices and a few games. Seeing the work ethic, like, did you know that those two guys were bound for the NHL the first time you saw them?
Yeah. I remember, I remember Nate in training camp because Joe didn't show up for training camp. He came at Christmas time.
Yeah.
But Nate was there for training camp, and I played him in a preseason game with Cape Breton when I was with Cape Breton still, and the explosiveness was incredible. But then you see him behind the scenes, and I remember him coming to me. We were chatting about World Juniors that year because he was 16 and he wasn't slated to make the team, and they were kind of saying, he might be a 13th forward as a PK kind of guy. And he came and we chatted about, what I see on the PK, and there was a couple of us, myself and Travis Randall, who's a 5-year Moosehead, who was kind of similar role to me. And, he asked questions and picked our brains and stuff, and he knew that like he was a student of the game, which was really cool to see. And then they're just built different, they train different, taking care of themselves, things like that. They're different beasts, and both great players in their own way. Happy Joe's having had a good year this year and back with Colorado, because it's cool to see those guys back together. But they see the game different than everybody else, and they train different than everybody else, and it's good to see. Like, there's absolutely zero surprise that Nate's doing what he's doing, because he loves the game, and he's crazy about it, and he's really goddamn good at it.
He is.
Yeah, that he is.
Let's get back to your game here. Let us know of a team or player you absolutely despised playing.
So funny, and I'm sure the Moose fans will love this, but when I was with Cape Breton, I hated playing against Trey Lewis. Trey was always the guy, and I always say that he would never fight me. He was always scared to fight me, but he probably asked me to fight 14 times a game. But it's funny. I would say him, and there was a guy on Moncton, Scott Trask was his name, and he played a tough game, and we played against each other every year, and then played against each other when I was in St. X and Acadia. And I know Scotty off the ice, and he's a fantastic guy. And then Trey, when I got here, we became best buddies and lived together at St. X. And I talked to him last week. He's one of my best friends, and but
awesome.
Funny how it works. He tortured me for 2 years in Cape Breton, and then came here and we became buddies. So in terms of teams,
that's hockey though, right?
That's hockey.
That's
Yeah.
hockey.
Yeah. That's part of it. So in terms of teams, like I think of the teams that you would typically like hate to play against, the Monktons and the Cape Bretons and the rivalry teams. But, for a guy with not much skill and probably a little bit of an attitude problem, I think those were the games that you get most excited for.
Yeah.
We had a hell of a rivalry with Moncton, and, those are the ones that it doesn't matter if there's any fan in the rink, you're still jacked up to go play them
You're up
because
for those games. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, it's going to be a fun one. So honestly, the worst teams to play were the ones that, were Quebec with no rivalry and
Yeah, you
on a
only played them
Tuesday
a couple
night.
times a year. Yeah.
Yeah. You like when you play them 8 times, you tend to find out how much you hate them pretty quick.
Yep.
It's funny because you mentioned that rivalry through New Brunswick, but it's different in the office. You guys actually work quite closely with Moncton's organization in the office.
Yeah. No, you realize when you're on the business side that, everyone's trying to do the same thing. Everyone's trying to grow their business and, help out the community. And, we take things that Moncton does and Moncton takes things that we do. And, I know the guys have a great relationship with Charlottetown and, Gerard Shaw, Logan's dad is, he was with the with the Eagles for a long time. And Joey Haddad's a former player who's a good friend down with the Eagles. And, so we kind of all pick each other's brains and try to help each other out, what's working, what's not, and different markets, but we're in the same industry. So it's a lot more love on the business side than there is on the ice.
Yeah. So Brad, you've played in the AUS. We saw your ring there on your finger with that you showed us there. How do you compare the talent from the AUS to the Quebec League? Is there much of a gap there, or, because we know there's obviously age differences, with the Q being, 16 to 20, AUS, really no age limit there at all. But what's the talent gap like?
Yeah, it's you're not getting the high end guys. You're not getting the Nates and the Joes of the world that are going to go play in the NHL. But what I always say about the AUS is that, and the CIS in general, is that you're getting a lot of guys who understand how to play the game and who have kind of pinched out a role in some way or the other. A lot of captains, a lot of assistant captains that play as 20-year-olds and then move on to university. A guy that I played with was Cameron Critchlow. Critch was our captain here, and he played with. He was on a line with Nate and set him up, a little bit, and then he goes to UMB and kind of becomes a guy there. And so it's such a smart game. I remember Trey telling me, because Trey was really good at lining up 16, 17-year-olds who didn't really understand how to play the game, and he'd send them into the fourth row. And then he came to university and he's like, it's crazy how, few and far between that is, because everybody plays the game differently and understands the game a little bit more. So it's an unbelievable product. I was lucky to play there for 4 years, and but it's a different style. You're not getting the high flying, big hits and beautiful goals and things like that. But it's a great game.
Right on.
Nice. Nice.
If you could go back and change something, work harder on something, not take something for granted in your hockey career, what would that something be?
I mean, as an undersized, guy with no skill, I think I did okay for myself. But no, I think there's lots of things that you would change. In terms of like dieting and training and things like that. You see what's going on now. You see the diets and the how dedicated people are.
Oh yeah, look at Bedard.
To every aspect. Yeah, and you see why he's so dominant. But things like that, we trained hard. We did what we knew, kind of thing. I had a great trainer down in Sydney, Ryan Zito, who was awesome, and he was pretty up to date for what was going on back there. But we kind of did what we had to do, and we did what we knew, I guess. What would I change? Honestly, I wish I went to the NHL, but nothing really. I
Wish
had
you
a
got a
lot of
ring from
fun.
Cam.
Yeah, yeah, I would have pushed harder. I would have pushed harder when they were sizing up the rings, but listen, I'm lucky. I had a great career and met a lot of great people, and I'm sitting in this chair because of that. So
That's right.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe try to score more goals, but I think at the time you're a young kid. It's whatever's going to get you ice and whatever's going to help the team. I maybe miss a few checks because throwing your head against the board so much kind of takes a toll on you. But no, I loved every minute of it. I was pretty lucky to have a career I did.
That's amazing, man. That level of commitment is not living, in my personal opinion. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I'm a fat guy,
No.
though, so I mean, diet is out for me. But
Yeah, I listen when you're in it, like, you show up every day to work out and to, go to practice and stuff. And like, it's awesome. It's like, it's the best game in the world. And
it is.
like, that's what you're doing full time. There's nothing better, right? So it's such a beautiful game, and I wouldn't change a thing.
You mentioned how the games, the players have changed a little bit since, when you played compared to now. But what advice would you give players of today, Brad? I mean, obviously the working out, the workouts have seriously increased, over the years. But like, what other advice, either mentally or physically, that you could give a player now? If some young player came up to you and said, "What should I do to better my game or better my, look at the game?"
Yeah. I mean, first thing that comes to mind is kind of like, we were just talking about, like, take yourself serious, take the game serious, but don't take yourself too serious. Enjoy what you're doing. But put the work in, because again, that's fun. Like, showing up and training with your buddies and practicing and being in the dressing room, all of that is fun too. So, take those things serious. But enjoy what you do. I remember when I was a 20-year-old, I went to St. FX, and you start getting into school and you're playing hockey, and then I actually came back and played 4 games with the Mooseheads at Christmas. One of our 20-year-olds was injured. Conrad Albachauser was injured, and so I got to play a couple games, and I remember just the feeling of being back in junior, and just how amazing the lifestyle is. And you know I know it's so easy to get caught up in I'm on this line and I'm not playing, I want to be on the power play, and why did I get taken off this? And you know it's good to be competitive in that sense, but also you got to enjoy what you're doing, and you got to enjoy coming to the rink every day, because um, it doesn't last long. As much as you might think, oh, there's 64 games, and it's a long season. The whole process. I mean, my 3 years flew by, and my hockey career flew by, and you got to enjoy it while you're in it, because everyone ends up in the same spot in the beer leagues, and but it's a fun run, but you got to make sure that you enjoy it while you're in it.
That's
Nice.
awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, great answer.
So, thank you for being so gracious with your time, Brad. I have one last question for you. It's the question we ask every person who comes on this show, and we essentially just open up the forum to you. Is there anything you'd like to say to the fans, players past, present, or future, the organization that you work in, for your time with the Herd, current and past?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure everybody says thank you, but
I don't want to be like everybody.
no, geez, I don't mind that, but I like, when people say it, they do mean it, and I mean it from a sincere, deep down. Like I said, I was a fourth liner that got put on waivers and got picked up. I thought I was gonna go play junior A and kind of finish up my career, and I got picked up, and the Moose fans took me in, and enjoyed the game that I brought, which was awesome, and the team brought me in, and like I said, the organization really brought me in. From Bobby all the way down. Still stay in touch with a lot of them, and the fans have been awesome. Even coming back, seeing a lot that I knew that were diehards back then, and they're still diehards now, which is awesome. We have such a enthusiastic fan base, which is incredible. But there's I always say there's no reason for me to be in the position I am with Halifax, with the Mooseheads in general, both as a player when I was there and now, and it's just the community that has kind of been built through the Mooseheads for years and years. Is that kind of they always say, everyone says, once a Moosehead, always a
That's right.
Moosehead, and once a this, always a this, and once a that, always a that, and everyone always says it. And I thoroughly believe that the Mooseheads do a great job of that, because as a fourth liner on waivers, it's treated me like gold for the past 13 years, and it's been incredible to be involved with.
Well, we're glad to have you back with the organization, Brad.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy to be back. It's awesome. Also, too, listen, we love guys like you. We love the podcast, and all the boys. They might not say it out loud, but they all listen. And
Ah,
yeah,
I love
no,
that.
it's awesome. It's great stuff. We love things like this, and it's good to kind of tell our story too, which is great.
I
Absolutely.
appreciate that, man. I do. Listen, Brad. Sorry, you have something to say, Dale?
No, I just said absolutely. We love hearing that as well. We're passionate about the game and the players and our team, and just looking forward to another great season here and the best organization in the CHL. Here's hoping that this is going to be another great year for the Halifax Mooseheads.
That's right.
That's right. That's what we like to hear.
All right, Brad, listen, thank you so much for graciously giving us your time today. You're a gem. I appreciate you. The rest of you, hope you're all healthy, safe, and happy out there. And as always, go Moose, go.